Got some breaking news. Federal forces just sent a message that echoed from Chicago to Louisiana. The days of mob rule are over. Wait till you see this video. What started as routine ICE operations has now exploded into full-scale street warfare when radical agitators tried to use their usual blockade tactics. But this time, something was different. The response was swift, decisive, and all caught on camera. Tear gas filled the air, federal agents in tactical gear moving in like a unit, and the professional protesters who terrorized communities for years finally met their match. From Memphis business owners begging for protection to Louisiana mothers burying their children to the streets of Chicago, America is crying out for order. And tonight we are seeing what happens when that cry is finally answered. But first, a word from our sponsor, because we recently covered a company called Western Star Resources here on the channel, a gold and silver exploration company. We believed had serious potential for U.S. expansion. Well, it looks like that move is already in motion. Western Star just signed an MOU with the American Corps to push forward their U.S. growth strategy. And here's why the timing is so important. With domestic demand for precious metals climbing year after year, and with the U.S. government making it clear they want more homegrown exploration instead of relying on foreign supply, companies like Western Star are in a prime position. Now, this is not just about mining. It's about national security, economic stability, and capturing a huge market opportunity. Western Star's expertise combined with supportive policy environment means they're stepping into the U.S. market under the best possible conditions. Could a huge U.S. expansion be next? Well, I wouldn't bet against it. Western Star Resources is making gold and silver great again. You can find out more by visiting the link in the description, westernstarresources.com. And we thank them for sponsoring this program. Okay, we've got the video, baby. Yep. Oh, and she's down. And she is down. Federal agent brought a resisting left-wing agitator to the ground outside ICE near Chicago. Eric Doherty says, I could watch this all day. Boom. Yeah, maybe you're gonna F around and you're gonna find out. 72 hours ago, Governor Jeff Landry was unclear when specifically asked if he and Trump have spoken about deploying the National Guard to Louisiana and what such a deployment would happen. Yeah, the scenes you're seeing in Chicago, coming to Louisiana.
And I said, well, look, let's talk about times under which the National Guard did things like that. Wasn't that long ago. New Year's Day, the tragedy that befell Bourbon Street. One of the first calls I made was to General Freelou. And I said, how many soldiers can you give me? Why? Because we had to secure the largest crime scene the city of New Orleans ever had. And what the National Guard does is it gives you a force multiplier. What it does is it gives you some boots on the ground of people who are highly trained and highly disciplined. And I think that that's the overall arching message. It's not about, oh, we're sending the military in. I think the president recognizes that our cities around this country are way too violent, okay? People say, well, this is a militarization of our big cities. Our cities are already war zones. Too many people are already dying. I mean, we leaned in on that way before in anticipation and hoping that President Trump would be and did get elected. Why? Because he supports law enforcement, right?
Yep, and we're going to see these scenes unfolding in Memphis, Louisiana, New Orleans, and more. Speaking of Louisiana, here's a young lady from Shreveport. Shreveport, broken my heart, she says, after her 17-year-old son was shot and killed. A grieving mother speaks out as leaders consider Trump-backed plan to deploy the National Guard to fight crime in Shreveport, Louisiana.
Bond Street.
I loved my home. I loved Shreveport. But Shreveport has broken my heart.
Shannon Ballantyne's 17-year-old son Cameron was shot and killed last month near their home in a high-crime neighborhood in Shreveport, Louisiana. Police have not yet made any arrests.
This is Bond Street.
Shreveport Police Chief Wayne E. Smith has pins marking each one of the 26 murders that have shaken the city so far this year. He is weighing a proposal floated by President Donald Trump to send National Guard troops into Louisiana to fight crime, an idea backed by the state's Republican governor. Smith says low pay and benefits make recruitment tough, and if the Louisiana National Guard is deployed in his city or elsewhere in the state, his ranks will be thinned out even more.
Significant.
So think about this, okay? This is the inevitable result of what? Say it with me. Defund the police. You see, cops don't want to go be cops anymore. They don't want to. Cops have been handcuffed by these policies. They can't even go out. They're afraid that if they even enforce the law, that they are going to be held accountable. Yeah, there's some bad actors out there. And bad actors should be held accountable. But when you defund the police, demoralize the police, this is the result. Crime goes up. President Trump says, I've had enough. And the National Guard has to go in and fix the problem. This is all the direct result of failed policies from Democrat-run shitholes. Speaking of that, here's looks like a Memphis restaurant owner.
Elwood's recently announced on social media it will offer a free barbecue sandwich to Guard members in the city.
It's been the biggest post I've ever done. It's gotten over 300,000 views and thousands of comments.
Owner Tim Bednarski says he's seen the effects of crime outside his restaurant off Summer Avenue.
I have armed security 7 days a week, and it's unbelievable what happens every day in front of my restaurant.
He believes the Guard will make a difference.
Without a doubt, anything will help.
Elwood's recently announced.
And you're going to get a free barbecue sandwich with every deployment. You got to love that. Senator Brent Taylor was asked by News Nation about the Make Memphis Matter movement and whether Democrats will finally get the message that it's time to accept help or get our crime challenge under control.
And that
the Make Memphis Matter movement, what is the mission, and do you anticipate bipartisan work when it comes to tackling crime in Memphis, and how do you help, sir, facilitate that?
Well, the Make Memphis Matter mission is really to help remind lawmakers in Tennessee and in Washington that Memphis matters. We are a vibrant city. We are a river city. We're a city with a lot of music heritage. We're the home of FedEx, International Paper, St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and Elon Musk supercomputer, Grok, artificial intelligence. So we are a wonderful city. I chose to live here. I'm originally from another state, but I chose to live here. And so we want to make Memphis matter. And in order to make Memphis matter, we have to make Memphis safe. And so that's what we're doing. I would like for this to be a bipartisan effort, but unfortunately, the Democrats have decided to stand against President Trump and Governor Lee in this National Guard deployment. And it's unfortunate because all it does is render them to have the same credibility as my mother's Facebook page.
You know what's funny? Donald Trump is making Democrats want crime. Here is more just an hour ago outside of the Broadview ICE facility in Chicago, where they effed around and they found out. CBS News cameras on the scene, capturing the chaos of the protesters attempting to block ICE vehicles. You can see it there. This is Chicago. And this is going to be a scene we're going to see unfolding across cities. We've already seen it in Los Angeles, likely New York very soon. Memphis, already starting to happen. Louisiana, clearly next. Let's check in.
Moved by an agent, except for that one scuffle. Darius Johnson has been up. Wow. Agents are taking someone into the facility. That is a second protester. Let's check in with Darius Johnson, who's been on the ground there all morning long. Darius, what can you tell us about how this started?
Hey, Lou, get right in. Hey, Lou, get the shot inside of the facility. They have someone on the ground. If you're able to see that person, they're closing the gate right now. There's a person on the ground being held on the ground by those ICE agents. And look, if you pan over right now, Lou, let's see right here with the vehicle. vehicle. They are plowing through the protesters right here at this vehicle. They tried to deploy everything that they could as these protesters were trying to block agents from moving in and out. They have another man. They are just deploying anything that they can to try to get the protesters out of the way. Dana, give me 1 second as I put my mask on because they just sprayed chemical agents again. Okay. So right now, this is what we have been seeing.
I love the smell of deportations in the morning.
It's been one of the tensest moments this morning. What just happened right now? You had vehicles that were trying to make its way out. Dana, I'm actually going to move away from the camera now that the smoke is
Darius,
now impacting my eyes.
You need to get away from that smoke. Please, we appreciate your reporting. Get away from that smoke.
I'm back near the vehicle, Dana. I'm near the vehicle. I have a mask on. I'm okay. So basically, every time that people are pulling out, they are blocking the vehicles from getting in and out. At this point, what we saw this time was the agents on top of the roof. They started, Lou, you need to get something on your eyes.
Wow.
It's very important.
Dana, let me send it back to you. We're going to hold the shot.
Yes.
We just need to protect our eyes right now.
Yes.
Yes. Give us 1 second so we can just get our bearings straight.
It is a very fluid scene and right now a very volatile scene on the ground outside the Broadview ICE facility in that west suburb. Darius Johnson's been on the ground all morning. The agents have deployed some sort of chemical, some sort of smoke that Darius was just saying was an irritant to his eyes. Our photographer Lou Kleinberg out there on the scene too. As they wisely did, they have moved away from that smoke in that area to try to protect their eyes, to try to get protection on. We are told as reporters in the field we should have protective gear just in case a scene like this becomes volatile, which it has this morning. There have been flare-ups like this over the past about almost 2 hours now, a little more than 2 hours perhaps. As Darius was just mentioning and as you saw just a few minutes ago, when that apparent federal vehicle was trying to leave that gated area right there, these federal agents did try to escort the vehicle out into the crowd the protesters trying to block it. That is when there was some sort of scuffle between an agent and an individual.
I just looked it up. That's about an hour and 15 minutes away from me. Oh, man, I'm like itching to climb out there and go. ICE and federal agents unleashing on left-wing agitators, arresting at least one who tried to form a blockade at an immigration facility near Chicago. The Broadview ICE facility is located at 1930 Beach Street. I believe that's the address. U.S. Immigrations and Customs Enforcement on Beach Street. That's where it's at. So, you F around and you're going to find out, bitches. If you got value in this report, tap subscribe because my final thought is next. This is what winning looks like. Federal agents deploying tear gas on radical mobs, ICE hauling away criminal illegals while protesters scream helplessly. National Guard units preparing to deploy to American cities. The anarchists who terrorized our communities for years just learned a very hard lesson that Donald Trump isn't bluffing. Ford Fisher, you saw the video footage capturing it perfectly. Federal forces moving in formation, crushing blockades, declaring unlawful assemblies for the second Friday running. The left calls it Trump's America sad. Wrong. This is law and order returning after years of chaos. From Memphis restaurant owners begging for protection to Louisiana mothers burying murdered children, America is demanding action. And now they're getting it. So here's my question. Should Trump deploy federal forces to every city where local Democrats refuse to maintain order? Drop a yes or a no. Drop your answers below. The days of mob rule just ended. Federal muscle is flexing from coast to coast. You can show your support with Next News gear and stand with those bringing order back to the streets at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com.